latest news from across non-league football. Online at backofthenetsouth.co.uk and broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. This is Back of the Net News.
Here's your latest news at 7 p.m. Sutton United will rip up their 3G pitch and replace it with grass at a cost of £300,000 if they win promotion from the National League, after conceding defeat in their fight to allow the surface in the Football League. Sutton are third in the National League, but under Football League rules the club would be refused entry to League 2 next season if they kept their pitch as it was. Dulwich Hamlet have announced that they will continue to play home games at Tooting and Mitcham's K&K Stadium for the 2018-19 season. In light of the move, and as a thank you to their fans, Dulwich have released their season tickets for next year at the reduced price of £125 for adults. Barrow AFC chairman Paul Casson has branded his players as weak and said they lack character, desire, courage and fight. The Bluebirds owner, writing in the matchday programme ahead of their National League game against Eastleigh, said all blame lies with the players and their attitude. York City's financial management consultant Peter Rooks believes the club's new board face a mammoth task if they remain in control of affairs at Bootham Crescent next season. Rooks is predicting a challenging campaign after the club's accounts revealed an operating loss of £500,000 for 2016-17. The total loss in central funding, when all parachute payments will cease, will amount to approximately £1 million. South Shields Football Club bosses are celebrating attaining their most immediate goal of winning planning permission to improve their ground. They have been granted the go-ahead to install new floodlighting and covered stands at what will be a new-look Mariners Park. Work will start straight away on fitting tiered stands behind the goals of their matchday pitch. That was your latest news. I'm Adam Wilmot.
It's 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. It's time for the biggest non-league football debate in the country. Search official BOTN and get involved with tonight's show.
So, very good evening and welcome to the show tonight. Delighted to say we have another jam-packed show for you between now and 9 o'clock. We talk all about the life of a non-league manager this evening, and we're delighted to say that Alan Dowson, Andy Leese and Mick Sullivan are here to talk about that life of a non-league manager. Callum Schaefer will join us a little bit later on to play Super Sub, the game that has grabbed everybody's attention across players from all three divisions this season, and we'll update you on how the leaderboard looks for Super Sub. We're going to play the non-league football quiz as well tonight, and we'd love to get your thoughts into the show. Anything non-league football, all you've got to do is tweet us official BOTN across Twitter to get your thoughts on the show tonight.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
So welcome to the show tonight. I'm delighted to say, as you said, Andy Leese, Alan Dowson and Mick Sullivan join us. Very good evening to you guys.
How are we doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So much to talk about this evening on the show as we kick off. We're going to talk all about the life of a non-league manager. We'll get into that very shortly. But before we do that, I mean, where to start, Mick? It's been such an eventful week. Dulwich Hamlet's defeat last night, the controversial refereeing decision on Saturday, the Sutton United pitch debate that we just heard in the news.
Well, I'm thinking all things leverage at the minute because they've got away with a points deduction and they still can make the playoffs. So that's another big issue that's simmering behind the scenes. So and with FA Cup money that could possibly be taken away from them. So lots happening at a club that obviously you know that I support behind the scenes. And yeah, and you know it's hotting up, and there's going to be already some automatic promotions that could happen by tonight with Lewis. Possibly they could have their automatic promotion decided, and then Saturday becomes Carl Shorten possibly. Yeah,
we'll keep you up to date on some of the games that are going on tonight. Andy, very good evening to you. Welcome to the show. Let's start by talking to you about the Bostik football from last night and Dulwich Hamlet, Tunbridge Angels. A real shock, and is that the title handed to Billericay?
Not necessarily. It was a shock, I have to say. We go to Tonbridge on Saturday, so they'll have the tails up, but not necessarily. Billericay got a lot of games to play. We played them on Saturday, and smallish squad, very talented, but he's having to move players around. They've got a cup final tonight, I think. Anything could happen. I think they've got to play Folkestone and Margate in their running. No disrespect to the other clubs they've got to play, but I have to say it's still everybody's cup final when they come up against them. So I think they'll find it, find it tough. But they found the scoring form and the shooting boots on Monday night against Staines, and I'd expect them to go on to do it. But I don't think it'll be as easy as everybody thinks.
Shock result last night, Mick. Really didn't expect Tunbridge Angels to go there, and no disrespect for them when they're not in a relegation battle, they're not going for promotion, and so much again riding on the game for Dulwich.
Yeah, but we know Steve McKinnon. I know Douse knows him well, and I know him quite well. And he's been disappointed how they've done this season. Tunbridge Angels, I think he's expecting to be playoffs this year, and they floundered somewhat. But I think he's been, given the nod by the club and the new chairman that's come in there, and they started rising up the ranks. So, in all honesty, they're probably one of the teams that are in the, near the top of the form table now. They've knocked a few results out, and that's what happens.
And let's not forget there was plenty of other games last night, and one of them was a really impressive display by your team away from home at a team that really are up against it and needing the points. Yeah, and an impressive 4-2 win. Yes,
it was. Yeah, it was on the night. Yeah, I'll say irrespective of where they're on the league table, they have to win games, and they set up to win. They were at it for sure. But we, thankfully, after a season of waiting, decided to turn in a very, very good performance, and I don't think anybody could argue, we were well-deserved winners. Could have been a lot more, but certainly Burgess Hill were right at it, and I think they play again tomorrow, don't they? And they've got a tough-looking run in, but good news for us.
And Alan, welcome back to the show.
Lovely to be here.
Nice to have you here.
Yep.
Obviously for you, really important end to the season. Done so well this year to really kick on and look like you're in a really strong position for the playoffs. We were having a bit of a chat before just about where you see yourself finishing, and you reiterated the importance of that second and third spot this year just because of how the playoffs are structured.
It's been a tough couple of weeks, really. We honestly thought we could win the title. We honestly thought we were in the mix, and we have been for the last couple of months. And we played Dorford, who were a great side, good manager down there. And we went tour to tour, should have won the game, and we conceded in the 95th minute, the last kick of the game. And I thought that knocked away a little bit. And 48 hours later, we play against Welling, again on heavy pitches, and we scraped through. We scored in the 95th minute then. We had an awful performance against Concord, but I thought it was a godsend, the game getting called off last night, to be honest, because at least we can regroup again, and that's what we need to do, because I've got a great bunch of players. Excellent, in fact. They've done unbelievable for a football club, like our size, if you like. I really do think we have took the club to compete against Dorford, to compete against Havant, and they've done unbelievable ahead. And I never tell them that, so they'll probably get a shock listening to me saying things like this. But they've done unbelievable, but it's just one of them, we've got to get back to where we are, and got to get back to winning ways. Simple as that.
And just to point out to anybody that doesn't know, there's a 10-point difference between yourselves in third place and now Havant and Waterlooville in second and Dartford in first. It realistically, with the games left, it's between those two for automatic promotion.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I was trying not to look, to be honest, at the table, but thanks very much. And there's good sides in the league, there's good sides in all leagues, and we're two of the best sides because it proved it. We're third best team in the league because that's where we are at this minute. I went down to watch Gloucester last night. I travelled down there, and they're not bad either. So, them two. If there's a better man, I think Dorford will do it. That's my opinion. Then it's up to everybody else in the playoffs. We need to get another 2 wins out of 4 games to get in the playoffs. We've got to go and get them. It's as simple as that.
Mick, we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago, the restructure of the playoffs in the National South and the National League to get a bit more excitement, and it goes down a little bit further. And it really does emphasise the importance of that second and third place, because you obviously play a game less, you get a bye into the semis.
Well, it does, but looking at that, you've only got to have a couple of iffy games, mate, and you could be even out of it.
I'm sure he appreciates you bringing it up.
I'm really glad I've come on, to be honest. You know what I mean? So this is what you get all the time on here. I'm used to. You've been dying for these questions to come on, haven't you? You're used to. But if you look at it a couple of weeks ago, we're nailed on, and you're thinking, but you look at it now, we've had a couple of iffy ones. People below were won a few games. Now, I was looking at the table when I got in last night about 1 o'clock, and I was thinking exactly what you're thinking, but I tried not to say it to myself, if you know what I mean. But that's great. That's football and that's life, and we've got to win matches, but everybody else does as well.
Let's talk more positively, because we have to say before we move on, what a fantastic achievement it is to be in third position with perhaps the budget that you've got and the club who's only really just come up from the league below, have one season that you made the playoffs last year. So what a fantastic achievement to again be up there.
No, the club's in great hands. Got a great chairman, and Graham Wood, who I always wanted to work for, to be honest. He done an unbelievable job at Gateshead. He done an unbelievable job the first time he was chairman of Hampton. And he's come along and been a fresh air for the club, followed by Jack, the vice chairman, been very good. The committees at the ground's fantastic. It's a proper village club, as you know, Mick. It's a proper village. People where they come from, we've got a green outside, obviously, and they come from different areas. And with respect to the people around the club, are really good. Obviously, I've got a great management team with Martin and Ian, and some great players. Not so much great players, but a great set of lads who work hard for each other. It is a good achievement, but it'll not be a very good achievement if we finish 8th. So the bottom line is we've got to make sure in 2 weeks' time it is a good achievement. But it'll only be good if you get promoted. If you finish in the playoffs and you don't get promoted, listen, that's what we aim for. Everybody does. If you're in it to win it, that's what we say at the club, and that's what we try to do.
Plenty of other games last night as well in the Bostik Premier Division, Andy. Obviously yourselves in 14th position, you're not looking over your shoulders and you're not looking above. It's a season. We spoke last week after a match and you said that you're really looking forward to next year. Can you enjoy the rest of this season as a non-league football fan and look to the likes of Leiston, Margate, Hendon and the battle that's going on there to reach the playoffs? I should mention Staines and Leatherhead as well.
As a fan or a manager?
As a fan and a manager.
Well, yeah, you can, yeah. I'm like Alan. I love watching games, opposition. I was probably looking at our table at 1 a.m. this morning as well.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's pressure or madness, I don't know, but one or the other. But yeah, of course you can, yeah. And it was a surprise last night. I think Hendon going down and Margate losing. You know, it's fascinating for those of us, even if you're not involved. Clearly, as Alan said, I'd love to be involved, you know, but we've had a disappointing period across January and February. But yeah, I'll take a huge interest in it. Lot to watch, lot to learn, lots of players to look at, and it'll sort of grab my interest until the end of the season.
Games in the Bostik South last night as well. Thamesmead Town defeated Greenwich Borough 2-1, and it's looking really tight at the top of the Bostik South, Mick. It's been tight all season with the teams battling it out there. There is a slight gap now between the top two and Cray Wanderers, although there's still a question to how many teams will go up automatically in that division. Yeah,
I did bump into the league chairman a week ago, and I asked him about that question. And the Bostik South has got the best points per game ratio, so there might well be that's one of the leagues to be in, that they could get that third promotion, automatic promotion spot, which rather leaves the pressure off a little bit of Walton Casuals, because Hive have really hit a bit of form, putting a bit of pressure on there to get in that top 6, and that might well be the case.
Yeah, plenty of games as well last night in the Bostik North. As we mentioned, teams at the moment could be promoted, could be relegated. It's that stage of the season. Bowers and Pitsea defeated Durham Town 3-2 with 2 goals and a red card for Lewis Manor. Ben Sartain also made an appearance on the score sheets for the host, whilst Beaumont and Boria scored for Durham. Elsewhere in the league, Averley thrashed Hertford Town 3-0 on the road, whilst Malden and Tiptree took a 3-1 win over their visitors Barking. Luke Callender, Harrison Chattin and Ogie from an own goal from Joshua Pope gave Haybridge Swift a 3-0 victory against Soamtown Rangers. Haringey Borough also enjoyed a 1-0 victory against Tilbury, and Brentwood and Canvey Island was postponed last night. We look at the table, Mick, and it's again another division that's really close, and there is a real gap. We expected on Saturday before the game that we covered that AFC Hornchurch will be promoted, and rightly so. It's been a terrific season for them, but the chase for that second automatic promotion spot hotting up. It
sure is. Obviously, I enjoyed our time when we visited Back of the Net, visited Bowers and Pitsea, and sort of adopted them as my team, and they've done exceptionally well this year. And not being a sort of well-known team or side, and to be in the automatic promotion spot or possibly get there is fantastic. But if you keep looking at that, the plaudits for me for the Bostik North. I never was a lover of it. I never used to think it was anywhere near as strong as the South, and I think it's evened itself up now a heck of a lot. And there's some quality in that league. And people might think that this North Division isn't up to what it used to be. I've really been surprised this year. Really surprised.
Yeah, really good quality of football. And of course, we had a double header from the Bostik North last weekend. You can catch that right now on YouTube. Just search Back of the Net for our Bostik League highlight show from Sunday, capturing those two games from the Bostik North. And as we said, we'll keep you up to date with games tonight that could affect teams being promoted or relegated. And certainly there is a battle in the Bostik North this evening between Romford and Norwich United, which could be absolutely crucial for who goes down in that division. Plenty to talk about tonight. We're going to talk all about the life of a manager after the non-league football quiz. One more thing that I wanted to talk about this evening is the red card, Adam, that's been on social media. It happened at the weekend at one of our games in the Bostik North. It was between Bowers and Pitsea, who currently sit third, and Malden and Tiptree. It was a fantastic game where Malden and Tiptree were 2-0 up with a man advantage, and it was all because of that controversial sending off. We've had so much reaction on social media.
We've had over 11,000 views on the clip on social media, and it has to be said the vast majority of our listeners thought it wasn't a red or even a yellow card, and the player was extremely hard done by in that situation. But feel free to let us know what you think on Back of the Net, because on our social medias, because it's a very controversial one.
Now, I've spoken to a few people this week, and I spoke to a referee's assessor in Surrey, and he spoke to a referee in the football leagues. We're having a big debate on it, and everybody that he's spoken to in those official channels said that it most definitely should be a red card, because when you slow it down, he actually goes with his wrong arm and tugs the referee to sort of pull him sideways and pull him over. It's really controversial. I don't know if any of you have seen this video.
I haven't seen it, but assessor.
We'll get you the video up. I'm going to get it up on the screen for you. Mick, you've obviously seen it watching the Bostik League show. What was your opinion of it?
Well, I might have a different opinion of what you've just said there, because I'm not sure. He wasn't the one that was penalised, was he, for the foul? So I'm not sure why he would have had the with the referee to go and do something a bit silly like that. So that's the interesting bit. Why, normally it'd be the guy that's just not got the foul he was after would go and do something silly like that. He wasn't, and I just felt that he did see them break in. But that is interesting. I think you need to maybe show that to these lads and see what they think, because if you're saying it's not the natural arm to just get him out of the way to get across to shut the counter-attack, is quite interesting. That.
You know, you can't with referees. That's one thing I miss about the Bostik League. The referees are better than they're on the Continent South.
Wow,
and that's 100% true.
And he's raising his eyebrows there. I can see it.
I'm going to give you this, you guys, to just have a look at this footage at the moment. It is something that we put round, and if you watch very carefully, you'll see obviously the referees tugged back. And if you haven't seen the incident, you can see it on our social media now. Adam, it's our pinned tweet, so people can go on to official BOTN and have a look.
Yeah, I've just retweeted the video with a comment, so if anyone's listening, feel free to view the video and send me in what you think.
Have you seen it? Has it come up there?
No.
You haven't seen it yet?
Yeah,
I've just seen it. So the views. So seeing it in real time. Seeing it in real time now. You've had one view at it. What would
meant to do that? Surely could he?
No.
What?
There's the opinion of.
I don't think so, no. Is he trying to get him out?
Andy Lees and Alan Dowson.
Get past him, I think, and get out of the way.
Yes, we've just put it on in the studio for them.
Does he not realise it's the ref? Is it a player?
Aye.
Does he think
go. You might get a replay in a minute of it.
I hope we get a replay, because at the minute he's just walked past and...
Do you think the referee went down a bit easy? A bit like that Alcott guy did when, what was it, many years ago? What was the Italian guy done something to him? And
Di Canio?
Yeah, Di Canio.
It might have been. I don't think it was quite as bad as...
No, but he went down very easy. That's what I'm saying. He might have gone down easy.
The bottom line, there's a large shock there. You can't do that, like. And that's just... Aye. And if any assessor...
Now, do we? There we go.
Aye.
So there we go. This is live in the studio. We're giving Andy Lees and Alan Dowson the view.
He doesn't know he's there.
No
way.
He's trying to get somebody out. I don't think he knows.
And you'll get one of these daft assessors who says, "Oh no, referee's like, no, that's what happens." Like.
These are two northern guys we're relying on.
No,
an expert.
He's
got to remember that.
But the lad's devastated coming up. There's no possible way. And if any assessor sees that out there, then he's talking absolutely cobblers. I'm telling you.
He's he's going after the ball. The ball's running that way as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's not.
It's real weird, and it's the shock and everything. He's just tried to run across somebody, and the referee's there. And if he's sent him off about that scandalous, in fact, the referee should be punished because he's in the wrong place anywhere. That's what should happen.
The views of the guys in the studio, having watched it live here with us for the first time. So, as Adam said, do get your views into us. It's official BOTN. Maybe you're on the referee side, and you can let us know exactly what you think of the incident. And it's really interesting that so many different views, Mick, in the studio. But it seems.
Then you saw an incident last week at our game, didn't you, at Dorking with the referee as well, which was interesting. The offside for the second goal. Yeah, there was plenty of incidents in that game as well. Yeah. We'll talk about that more later on. We'll get more reaction on social media as well. Right now we're going to do our non-league football quiz. You've all got pen and paper ready to go for the non-league quiz. Plenty of good questions again tonight. Let's get into it.
The non-league football quiz.
You can play along as well wherever you are. Official BOTN. Mick, you got paper? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Question 1.
The first question tonight. Nick Pope, Burnley goalkeeper, went on loan to which non-league club whilst he was at Charlton? I'm going to give you 3 options. It was either Thurrock, Margate or Harrow Borough. Nick Pope, the Burnley keeper, went on loan to which non-league club whilst he was at Charlton? Thurrock, Margate or Harrow Borough are your 3 options tonight.
I'm glad I'm sitting next to this. Good night. Keep
We'll share.
We know it's against the Southerners.
Question 2.
Second question. Folkestone Invicta currently sits second in the Bostik Premier, whilst Margate are 5th. But how long, according to Google Maps, would it take to walk from Folkestone to Margate? You've got a few options here. 7 hours and 20 minutes, 8 hours and 45 minutes, or 10 hours and 5 minutes. Folkestone Invicta currently sits second in the Bostik Premier, Margate are 5th, but how long do Google Maps say it would take to walk from Folkestone to Margate?
What was it? Gun for the fee again, please?
7 hours and 20 minutes,
yeah.
8 hours and 45, and 10 hours and 5 minutes.
8 hours and 45.
Your 3 options tonight.
So.
You can't ask Adam to help you out. He wrote the quiz.
That's what I'm saying. There's some obscure ones here.
Question 3.
Third question. Egham Town of the Southern League Division 1 East are nicknamed the Sarnies, the Bagels or the Chips. You've got 3 options. Egham Town of the Southern League Division 1 East, the Sarnies, the Bagels or the Chips. Do you know Egham Town well?
Andy
right next to me house.
Andy does, because he's come from that league, so he knows.
I've got a player on loan there. Yeah, I know the manager well as well. So.
That's where Nextwell lives.
Question 4.
True or false? Question 4. True or false? Comedian David Mitchell told the non-league paper he has recently discovered a love of football and loves nothing more than a stroll from his house to watch his local side, St Albans City, on a Saturday afternoon. Is that true or false? The comedian David Mitchell recently told the non-league paper he's discovered a love of football and loves nothing more than a stroll from his house to watch his local side, St Albans City, on a Saturday afternoon. Anyone got any relationship with St Albans City?
We play at St Albans, got them next week, but I don't know who the bloke you've just mentioned, to be honest.
David Mitchell, Adam?
Very well-known comedian, Peep Show, Mitchell and Webb, look, various media-related stuff. Very famous comedian. QI, he's on a lot.
Oh no, I bet he's hilarious. Like, but stuff like that. Really sounds good.
The 5th question, the final question. Paul Terry, brother of John Terry, ended his career at which Bostik Premier club? Paul Terry, brother of John Terry, ended his career at which Bostik Premier club? Was it Billericay Town, Thurrock or Met Police? Billericay Town, Thurrock or Met Police? Where did he end his career? 5 questions for you tonight.
Was it this season, do you know?
No.
Nah, a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, was it? Oh, right. Okay. Can you just tell me those 3 again?
Mick, come on, man.
Billericay, Thurrock and Met Police. We'll let Mick have a think and we'll come back after this.
He's only on the show every week.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Are you a budding footballer sitting your GCSEs next summer, wondering what to do next? Want to play football while studying for qualifications that will get you into university? Dorking Wanderers Football Club are now recruiting for their football academy for 2018-2019. Based at their brand new state-of-the-art Meadowbank Stadium, you'll be playing in the National Conference Youth Alliance against the best clubs in the area each week, as well as the prestigious FA Youth Cup. You'll be studying BTEC Level 3 qualifications, equivalent to 3 A-levels, alongside professional coaching from our UEFA qualified coaches. For information on trials and open evenings, visit dorkingwanderers.com/academy or email academy@dorkingwanderers.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
Welcome back to the show. Plenty of debate about the non-league football quiz. Getting more reaction, Adam, as well, for our red card that seems to be stoking people's opinions across non-league.
Luke Ingram, a player, has been in touch to say he's had the ref before and he thinks he's a complete idiot.
Okay. We're not agreeing with any opinions.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut on this one.
I've just, by the way, I've just had a text coming in. There's a manager that can't understand one of our panellists tonight who wants to know. I won't name who the manager might be. I'm not saying who it might be.
It's probably me.
He hadn't bird on you.
Okay, right, we're back with the non-league quiz. Let's see who has the smartest brain in the studio.
It's time to see who has the best non-league football brain in the studio. Tweet your answers to @officialBOTN.
Okay, 5 questions tonight for you. First one.
Question 1.
Nick Pope, the Burnley goalkeeper, went on loan to which non-league club whilst at Charlton? I gave you 3 options of Thurrock, Margate or Harrow Borough. What did you get, Andy?
Harrow.
Harrow?
Are you playing as a double team?
You just concentrate on the... Don't worry about what we're doing.
What did you get?
You do what you've got to do.
I should just play clever and just copy what they said, because they know
You've got to go with what's written down.
I've got Thurrock, but it ain't going to be right. They're too
Okay, the answer was Harrow Borough.
There you go, Mick. Don't worry about that. Damn it.
Question 2.
Folkestone and Victor currently sit second in the Bostik Premier, while Margate are 5th. But how long, according to Google Maps, would it take to walk from Folkestone to Margate? Before we give you the options, Adam writes these questions. He has a lot of time on his hands.
I was going to say, it's the worst football question I've ever heard in my life, isn't it? The worst I've ever heard.
7 hours and 20 minutes, 8 hours and 45, 10 hours and 5. What did you get, Andy?
8 hours 45.
just so happens, but that's not looking at his. I've got a couple of answers here. 8 hours 45 minutes, but that's just good in between. It's a halfway. It was halfway.
What did you get, Mick? You got 7.
It's a northern love affair over there, isn't it? 7 hours 20 I've gone.
Yeah, we wouldn't know anyway.
No, I haven't got a clue.
Depends how fast you walk, doesn't it?
It's according to Google Maps. I don't know how fast Google Maps think the average person is, but there you go.
Got to say, it's a bit of a, you could be quite a fast pace. The answer is 8 hours.
There you go. Another problem, Nick,
minutes.
unlucky son. You've got to know your grounds. You've got to know your grounds are.
Question
That's why you're not
3.
working at the minute, son.
Egham Town of the Southern League Division 1 East are nicknamed, is it the Sarnies, the Bagels or the Chips? What did you get, Andy?
Sarnies.
Got Sarnies.
You got Sarnies as well, okay.
I've got.
Can you just check?
I have not. I've got 2 different answers coming up here, and I could be massively wrong. Okay. Sarnies, just because.
What did you get, Mick?
Sarnies, yeah.
No, the answer is Sarnies. They are
Mick. Well
Egham
done.
Town,
Thank you.
nicknamed Sarnies.
This is where it gets interesting.
Question 4.
True or false? Comedian David Mitchell told the non-league paper he was recently discovered a love of football and loves nothing more than a stroll from his house to watch his local side, St Albans City, on a Saturday afternoon. What did you get, Andy?
I had no idea, but I put true.
I had no idea, but I put false.
Mick?
I've just gone true as well.
The answer's false.
Thank God. There you are, man. There we are.
I can't believe he's going to win.
I'll tell you what, Mick. It's hands down, son. Hands down.
Adam, was there any truth in David Mitchell watching St Albans City?
No, none whatsoever.
None.
Do you know who he does support? Or
He hates football.
okay.
Yeah.
Does he actually live near St Albans?
No, he lives in North London. There's no truth in it
He
whatsoever.
lives in Stoke if he hates football.
Just made that up. Yeah, okay, fine. That's good.
Question 5.
Paul Terry, the brother of John Terry, ended his career at which
don't know.
Bostik Premier club? Billericay Town, Thurrock or Met Police? Andy?
Thurrock.
I never had a clue. I went Billericay.
Mick?
I've got the other one, Met, please.
The answer is Thurrock.
Oh,
I don't know.
So, let's find out from Adam what the scores are at the end of the quiz.
So we like to do this in reverse order. So Mick Sullivan
Last.
lost with 1.
Thank you. Oh, we've won, yeah.
With 1.
Yeah.
Do we like to say lost or is it third place?
Yeah, third.
No, we like to say lost.
it's taking part, isn't it?
Of course.
So we have a joint winner, as it seems to be becoming common, with Andy and Alan both getting an impressive 4.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, so this is the point where I feel, and Adam finds a tie-break question. So this is, I mean, you obviously didn't play together. Now you're going to go head-to-head.
Right.
So Adam will find a tie-break question.
Right.
So he'll do that now. What we probably could do is actually have one for most weeks. It seems to be happening most weeks. Mick, was the questions hard this week, or?
I thought they were quite difficult, but when you're playing with 2 sort of northern guys that have just joined forces,
Are different completely.
Andy, you're Yorkshire.
Yeah.
What's your Staffordshire?
Staffordshire, yeah.
I'm from Gateshead.
Yeah, but
In Newcastle, Geordie.
yeah, but
Yeah.
what is that a county? That ain't a county, is it?
It's Northumberland.
Cockney boys down here,
Northumberland. That's what I was waiting to
Durham.
hear. Northumberland.
Oh, Durham.
Okay.
County Durham. As you can tell
Oh,
by my
County
accent.
Durham. Yeah.
You can
Okay.
tell by my accent. I've been down here a long time.
We always like to get into a bit of geography on this show. Adam, we ready for a tie-break question?
Yep.
Go on.
Precious.
I'm just going to copy his and
Or
we'll cut
what
it.
you need to do is you've got to say your name before you can give your answer. So just say your name if you think you've got it. If you get it wrong, it goes to the
Oh,
other
right.
person. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, like
Off
that.
you go, Adam.
Which team is top of the National League?
Andy Lee's,
Oh, you joking.
Macclesfield.
Yep.
Hey,
That's the worst thing about I didn't realise I had to put in straight away. I thought you had to write it down and say your name. Okay, no problem. Well done.
It's
Good lad.
fine.
Well
Yeah,
done,
good job I read the non-league
Okay,
paper
come
this
on.
morning.
Ryan is trade in the Bostik League, and you're in the conference. You don't know that. You
I
should
owe him
know
one.
that.
He beat us in the Middlesex Senior Cup this year, so
I
I count that as one each. But
We will play the non-league football quiz again next week, and well done, Andy, for winning tonight's quiz. Plenty more to come on the show. We're going to turn our attention now to talking all about the life of a manager in non-league football. First of all, what better place to start than managers' tenures? And the average tenure of football managers is now just under a year and a half and is actually declining. 1992 and 2009 is the period that we're sort of having a little look at. And the stats reveal the tenure of managers in England is just over 1.23 years, which is absolutely shocking when you think of the likes of Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger and the times that perhaps people have managed in the past. When you look at non-league, is it similar? Do you think you're given more time in non-league?
well, on a personal level, I mean, I've had I had 3 or 4 years at Cheshunt, I had 10 years at Chesham, and I've just done a season at Enfield. I think there's a change in landscape. I think generally you are given more time, but I think there's a change in landscape. I think, you know, it's a reflection of, in my opinion, society, the sort of instant gratification. I think I still go by the maxim, if I lose 6 games, I'm under pressure. I never used to. I still back my own abilities. I'm sure Alan does all the time, you know. But I think they're always, you know, with social media and the forums and just there's always a clamour, isn't there, for change. And I don't agree with it one bit. You know, I think I had a blueprint at my previous club to build, and it gives you an opportunity to do that. And I just don't know how you can. I don't know how clubs can do it. You know, it can be obviously a non-league, a change of personnel, but a change of playing style, all manner of things. And I'm not in agreement with it. I'm sure my chairman's listening. You know, I think you need at least a couple of years to get yourself bedded down. And you know, I've found that this year it's been difficult going into a new club and change of league as well. You know, and I know not every job's like that, but you do need time.
When you look at that period that we mentioned between 92 and 2009, and the decline continues, but the average years of a manager, you can really see the difference from 3.12 right the way down to 1.47. So you can see the change just in those years. The Championship is the hardest league to keep your job. The League Managers Association has revealed that in the Championship, where there were 20 dismissals in the recently completed season, the average spell in charge is just 0.86 years. There were 47 manager dismissals in the 14-15 season, the most since 2001-2002, when 53 managers were sacked. And the average term for a Premier League boss is 1.8 years, which is higher than in the other 3 divisions. That's an interesting stat as well. The pressure in the Premier League, we talked about non-league football, but is actually the higher average tenure in the Premier League than there is in the Championship and League One and League Two, which maybe paints a picture that you wouldn't expect.
Well, I think with the owners and the expectations, and you know, there's now very, very wealthy owners, and I think they want that, you know, almost instant return, don't they? And that is a problem. Interesting out of those stats as well, especially Championship and down, how many of those managers never come back again? You know, those guys who are given very limited time and never get a crack again.
Interesting, Alan, that the Championship is by far the hardest league to keep your job.
Aye. You think anything? I'm on the fence of it all because I've never been sacked yet, and I hope I never do. But if you do, you do. I don't think you can. If you have a sack, I think you got to get on with it. And it is results business, you know, more than anything, more than any time in football is results business. So, and I think the Championship, it doesn't surprise me that, because every chairman has got a dream of being in the Premiership. You know, all the money there, all the Sky money, all the everything what goes with it. So the pressure to get a team up in that league and have your day, if you like, and have your millions, if you like, I think that's what put pressure on managers. I agree with Annie. I agree with forums and coming with now. I think if I could tell any, I've got a lot to learn as a manager, a lot to learn, but if I could tell anybody not to go on forums, because you know they'll do your head in. I think, and I think you've got to have a chairman you can trust. If you get a chairman who you can trust, and you get a chairman who thinks the same as you, or you think the same as them, if you like, then you can get on well. But and you can do, I think you can do good things. But if you don't, then I think you've got problems. But you've got to win matches. You've got to win matches.
This season, the Premier League also has the highest average tenure for all current managers, 2.36 years. The Championship's at 1.14, League One at 1.44, and League Two 1.67. Still, even this season, the Championship the hardest league to keep your job. Right, we're going to do another bit of trivia here. The shortest managerial reigns in football. Does anyone want to take a guess at some of those over the years?
Yeah, I think I've got one.
Go on.
Was one of them Leroy Rossini at Torquay United?
It's not.
If it's not there, then
it is. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, Leroy Rossini, Torquay, 10 minutes. Is this the answer? 10 minutes. The current holder of the record for the shortest spell as manager, Rossini, had the misfortune of being appointed Torquay manager as the club was being taken over by local consortium. Papers signed. They wanted their own man in, and Rossini was gone in 600 seconds.
Yeah. That's a famous one.
Is that right?
Who was it? Dave Bassett?
Did he get a payoff for that as well then? He must have been paid off as well, his contract.
Yeah, I think he probably did. Dave Bassett was one of them, Crystal Palace, at 4 days.
Was it? Yeah.
1984. Frank de Boer for Crystal Palace as well. Bassett never actually signed a contract to Sellers Park, but he still managed to put in 4 days' work before deciding it wasn't to his liking and returning to Wimbledon.
What about Billy McKinley, Watford? He went in there just for.
Yeah.
He only went for a couple of days and left, didn't he?
Frank de Boer actually was sacked after 4 games, if you remember, at the beginning of the season, and replaced. Others on the list include Colin Todd of Derby, just 98 days. Henning Berg of Blackburn was 57 days. Blackburn announced the sacking of Henning Berg and his coaching staff after less than 8 weeks in charge of the club. Brian Clough, Leeds United, 44 days in 1974. Les Reed at Charlton, 41 days for him. Alex McLeish at Nottingham Forest, 40 days. Steve Coppell, Manchester City, 33 days in 1996. Paul Hart as well, QPR, 28 days in 2009, 2010.
Broken heart.
And a few others on the list. Martin Ling, Cambridge United, 9 days. Ling was handed the job at the Conference National side, Cambridge United, after his predecessor, despite enjoying success, quit because he couldn't get on with the club's chairman, George Rolls. Just over a week later, Ling quit, citing irreconcilable differences with the same man. Just proves that you need a good relationship with your chairman. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been at a club for maybe not shorter than 4 days, but a really short period of time for reasons that you can't get on with perhaps the chairman?
No, not really. I've been quite fortunate, I guess, with the chairman I've worked for, and always gone into the right club. Well, so far so good anyway at Enfield. But no, I've never had anything like that as a manager. Do
you go into management? I'll put this to all of you. Do you go into it knowing that it is what it is now, at whatever level that might be? It's completely a results business with all the focus in the media. That it is a real pressure situation. You might not be there for more than a season.
I quite enjoy that. I quite enjoy knowing that you've got to win matches. I quite enjoy waking up in the morning, going, and I'm on a little bit of a bad run at Hampton now, and I'm sure we've all been there. And I'm quite excited about going and training tomorrow to try to turn that little squad around to win a match. And the only thing is, you've got to win matches. You haven't got a choice. You've got to win matches. So if somebody said to me, I can have my Hampton job for the next 10 years, but you're not going to win anything, then I'll just walk away now. I quite enjoy the thing about, I totally agree with Annie, he's won a new club and he's got to build it. But I've been at my club for 3 years now, 3.5 years, and we've had some success. We've done quite well, the players have. And but if I thought it come to a stop, where at the end of this season it was not going to be any progression, then I'll just walk out. I would only manage if I could maybe try to win matches, simple as that.
You do feel it, don't you? And we've got a very good fan base at Enfield, and I've gone in, and when they've been in around playoffs the last couple of years, the expectations there. There's a history with the club, and you do feel that, don't you? And you do, but it does motivate you. I'm like that. I don't fear it. I don't fear losing your job at all. It's motivational. There's always another game around the corner. And
of course.
Every time you miss out on one. But
it's the worst feeling in the world, isn't it? It's the worst feeling when you lose these matches. It's the worst feeling in the world. But there's only you who can turn it all around. You've got to try to go at your top and try to persuade them that you're doing the right thing. You've got to certainly do your stuff. You've got to do the players. But you've got to get your supporters and your committee members who are around it every day. You've got to give them belief as well. So I think once you give them belief, you've got half a chance,
Mick, is it important that when you go into if any manager goes into a job, they go into a job matching perhaps up with the chairman and the club's expectations?
Just quickly, I mean, when you took that job, Andy, you were on a under nothing there. So, and I can imagine your expectations, that Enfield's expectations of what they've done the previous 2 years would always be under pressure there. But thankfully, you've turned it round, and you've got a new season to start next year, and I wish you well doing that. I mean, my own self, you've got to have that relationship with the chairman, because they could side the other way. To me, look at what I've done at Leverett. I had 2 fantastic seasons there, and I started the last season of 2 tremendous seasons, and I'm gone after 6 games. So, it shows you the other end of what can happen. That says it all to me, the fact that you've got to have a good relationship with your chairman, because they can decide to not give you that opportunity to turn things round. And
my chairman's different at Hampton, to be honest, because he used to be funny enough, he's come from Gateshead. He used to be in the same class as my mum at school, lived on the same street, and he's the only bloke in non-league football who understands what I say. So it's very good.
I can understand what you're saying.
Mate.
Let's move on to talking about the role of and the life of a manager. Now, outside of the professional football, like many managers work part-time to carry out the same jobs, really, as the likes of Guardiola, Pochettino and Klopp, who's obviously done exceptionally well in the Champions League this season. It's a route in for many ex-professionals into the non-league game. Don't have the same resources. Non-league managers face, as we've said, their own challenges. How do you go about trying to represent the same sort of styles and systems of the likes of Guardiola, Pochettino and Klopp? People expect that. Whichever football game they go to, you're under scrutiny. How do you do that being a part-time manager? How do you do that only having the players together once a week?
It's very difficult, you know, and I would say in defence or in support rather of part-time non-league managers like myself, you know, it's part-time, full-time, done properly. It takes a lot of time, and I've learnt over the years how to, you know, balance the days out and you know how to work around 1 or 2 sessions a week. But it is difficult. I find, you know, my style. I have a philosophy and a style and how we want to play. You tend to work hard in pre-season, and that's how you impose it. You've always got that reference point. Clearly you adapt tactically as the season goes on, but you know, we have a, that's what we tend to do in pre-season, and that's really your reference point. You don't get chance, do you, during the season? You know, we're not training again tomorrow night because we just had 5 games in 11 days. You know, and then you have to, I suppose it's the art of managing and coaching. You then have to, I tend to get players in a bit earlier on a Saturday if we've missed sessions, and we go through things again. But you're right, you know, the pressure's on to be playing the beautiful game, and it's not always possible. You know, some of the pitches we've been on lately, and
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Anyway, a lot of it goes through pre-season, doesn't it? Where you got 6 weeks of pre-season to say this is how we're going to play. This is the philosophy. This is how this is how we like to play. If you like, that will change as the season goes. But pre-season's massive. I've got 2 great lads with me. Obviously, you know, Martin Taylor and Ian Dyer, who all believe in the same sort of way we like to play, attacking football, if you like. And but you got to nail that in early. Once you get that in early, you know, you hope that's going to look after itself. But you have got to change. You've got to change. Yeah,
you try and sign players to fit that philosophy, don't you? You know, so there's you have to adapt. You haven't got the time, have you? Like as you just named the top managers, it's very, very well, almost impossible to do that unless you've got them. I suggest 3, 4, 5 times a week.
You mentioned about the time, and this is one of the things that we talked about earlier, being a full-time manager almost. If it's part-time, it's still full-time with the work that goes in. And looking at opposition's tactics, and you said about signing players. Many non-league clubs sign players throughout the season. There's no restrictions really right up until March. To then go back and change that philosophy, especially when things aren't going well at a club, must be doubly difficult. When you mentioned, Alan, at the beginning of the season, you try and get it right. But if you have to change your philosophy for whatever reason, or if you have to bring new players in, it's almost impossible to do that.
Because I never had a good pre-season. Because if we had been, we would have been in a better position. Where no, I didn't do very well pre-season, to be honest. I thought I got a lot of things wrong. I thought I'm not saying the wrong player, because I wouldn't disrespect the players I'm saying, but I thought how we like the player, I got it wrong. I thought from me off I knew that, but I let it go a little bit, to be honest. Completely my fault. But it's difficult, but you do have a belief in it, you know, because we do put a lot of players on contractors, and you have got a chance to move, but that's what happens in non-league football. But you've got to watch your players beforehand, that's for certain, and watch games like we all love to do. We just said before, we're both up at 1 o'clock in the morning looking at leagues and looking at tables, and it's the same as players. You're looking who's played and who hasn't played, and we always look at I don't know about yourself, we always look at a league up and think who's not in their team, and if they're not in their team, have we got, you know, that call might go over next year, or who's not in like Barnett's team, because I had a few players from Barnett this year, so we always like look at that and say, well, I wonder who's not playing, who can improve our side, how we like to play.
When you have to have a good team around you, like you've said, and I've got a good team around me with, you know, Darren Pearce assisting me, Sean Rees, first team coach. I have a guy who's an ex-manager and a licence holder, goes out and scouts from not just teams but players as well, and they know how we set up, so knows the type of player that fits our philosophy. And as Alan said, you know, I've had difficulty this year. I brought a lot of players from the Southern League across to the Bostik League. And you know, hand on heart, I've said it publicly, we didn't quite get it right. You know, and gradually trying to change those players. It's been a process. Not there yet. We've changed 2 or 3, and you know, we've improved our results. But
Mick, I was just going to ask you actually,
mistakes.
What about the other way round? So when we talk about signing players and how difficult it is to implement them into your philosophy, but what about the constant turnover? How do you prevent that constant turnover of players? How do you keep the players happy and keep the players in the team?
Well, philosophy is the key element, because a lot of these players want to play the beautiful game, and you've got to get the right type of player in. And sometimes, like Dowse has admitted, and Andy to a certain extent, they didn't get the right type of players in the early stages of the season, and maybe had they got them players, they might have been doing slightly better. I mean, you've done well with the loan players you brought in, Dowse, haven't you? But I just think that just having that sort of, that sort of just the upbeat momentum and the right people around you, because obviously, I'll give you a great, for instance, like I worked, good cop, bad cop situation with Hayden. Hayden would be quite torrid at players, and I would, in the assistant manager role, I'd need to patch that up. But we'd keep it upbeat. But the next game, he'd be, he would be so fantastic switching on. I think it's a clever trick that a manager has that ability to be able to put his thoughts across and let them know he means business, but can also have that change of heart and become a bit of a mate and have a joke and have a laugh. If you haven't got that ability, you really do have to rely on really good people around you to patch that up.
I think the bottom line is, we all like the coach and we all like the manager, and I'd like to say, but sometimes you just need that 3 points. That's the biggest thing. Like, we're going into a little tough time, and I knew at the start of the season when I was having a tough time, and I was going through it and people saying, what's going on here? Dowson were 4th bottom of the league, I believe, or 3rd bottom at one point. In the back of my mind, I went in being hard cop, and the next week you go and being soft cop, and you're staffed over the same. But sometimes you don't need anything but 3 points, and once you get 3 points, the mentality of everybody in the club changes,
I think Ben's point about preventing the turnover, and Mick's point about being upbeat, is creating the right environment, in my opinion. Right environment for players, and they want to stay. I don't have much player turnover as a manager wherever I've been. I like to think with the people I have around me and the methods you engender that loyalty. And I'm sure I'm guessing, because I don't see many players going out of Hampton. Maybe I haven't got many to start with, but but I think you create that right environment as a manager, and players want to play for you.
And if you get one bad apple come in as well, Ben, believe you me, that kills the whole thing. And that's just one decision making you get wrong.
I think that's how you prevent that high turnover. If you're getting it right, and you've got to have a good club. I mean, and I've been in 2 or 3 very good clubs. I've walked into a really good club at Enfield Town. I've been staggered at the reputation it's got, not just in the league, but further afield, and players want to come and play for the club, and everything that you stand for. So,
and obviously that settled squad is so much more conducive to being successful. So for you, for example, you've brought in a lot of players this season, but in your mind for next year, that turnover needs to be really small in the summer to keep that.
Yeah, listen, we've got and I'll not be disrespectful to my group. We've got a fantastic group, especially off the pitch. We haven't translated onto the pitch that spirit and that togetherness. It hasn't quite worked for a number of reasons, which probably it's not appropriate to sit here and say what they are. But yeah, as I've done every summer, I'd like to think I can change 4 or 5 around, and we're better for it. Going back to your pressure point, we'll be expected to be in and around the playoffs, however the restructuring looks next year. So
when you talk about that restructuring, the next question that I wanted to ask you is how difficult is that at this level? Because you don't see that in the Premier League. You know that 3 teams are going down, you know that 3 teams are coming up, and 9 times out of 10 you know about those 3 teams. They've come down before, they're going up again, and you go into games, even at the highest level, with all the resources, knowing quite a bit about the teams. As a manager at this level, especially with the restructuring, how difficult is it when you go into a game and you don't know that a lot about the opposition?
Well, from what I've seen, I don't think you can tell me, it doesn't look too bad, does it, from where we are? And I think the geographical boundary lines will lose maybe 3 or 4 in the Suffolk area, and obviously we'll gain from those coming up. But you have to do your homework, in my opinion. You have to go out and watch these teams.
But whoever it is, you'll know them anyway, because there'll be Southern League teams that will only be joining the Bostik League and vice versa. So it'll only be really those.
Yeah, and I've been doing this 20 years. You build up encyclopedic knowledge of teams. But they do change. Clubs change. Clubs get takeovers, and money comes into it. You have to be, I think, back to the part-time, full-time point, you've got to be on your mettle. I have a scout to go out and watch, but I'm out there as well. So are the other guys in the management team, and we try and watch everybody 3 times, home and away, because teams will change. You might get caught out. There are days and nights when you're not au fait with what's going on. and you just, by and large, you have to worry about yourself. But it's always good to know, and I think it might bring you another 10 or 12 points a season if you're getting it right with opposition.
And having good relationship with other managers is probably a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that was always massive. Always rely on someone that's going to help you out.
Yeah.
As a manager at any level, at any club, can you be successful by just concentrating on your football, your style, and how well you play? Is there always an element that you have to be aware of the opposition?
I think if you're going to win something, I think you always got to know. I totally agree, Arnie saying there, where your things, 80% of it, surely how you do and how you prepare and how you're off of a game. But if you will come unstuck on what corners you do. You will come unstuck on a free kick where the penalty goes or whatever. You will do on shape of a team. So I think if you must have a good set of players, if you can just concentrate on yours and that's it. You always want to go in the change room. It's part of your team talking and saying, well, they're going to play like this. He's their strength, he's their weakness. That's what we're going to do. If we do this, we'll win it. So even it helps, I think, as long as you actually, when they go out there, the team's actually playing like that. And I think you've got to be very, very good just to concentrate on your team. That's what I think.
And you mentioned team talks there, and I know this is something we talked about before the show, where the role of a manager and the role of a coach is very different. And you're very passionate about this, Alan. There's two. We're saying there's two roles here. There's a role of a manager and a role of a coach, and not necessarily can one do the other.
Oh, that's interesting. We know a few that think they can do both, I think.
I am passionate with it because it's not about me being a manager or a coach, because we all think we all like to coach and we all like to manage or whatever. And I enjoy coaching. I've got an excellent coaching staff, as you know, and we all have. But you like to do a bit yourself as well. But we do these courses. Is that what we're trying to get at?
Which way around did you start, though, Alan? Did you start out as a coach,
as a manager,
and then as a manager, or did you start as a manager?
I coached all my life, if you know what I mean. Like, even when I was at Millwall as a kid, I never had anywhere to go because I was in lodgings on the old Kent Road. So I went and done the School of Excellence and all that, which it was in them days, and loved it. And when I went to work 20 years in the school with school kids and loved it. And
so you were a coach first, and then
I went into management.
Yeah, and I did that as well.
And that's how I met Martin Taylor through coaching his son. And coming up, but what I was arguing before behind closed doors, if you like, was you do these coaching badges, if you like, badges, and you get 30 people on the badge, all coaching the same way. Then the next week will be the same 30 or different 30 in all the way. Now, these people who say, oh yeah, you've got to have your badges to be, like I've got badges and all the rest of it, but these people who say you've got to have a badge to manage or coach, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's the worst topic ever. Yeah. Like you had somebody here last week who said, well, if you managers in the Raymond or you're managing the you should have your this UEFA, this and UEFA. But I think that's the biggest load of cobblers I've met in my life ever. I think it is.
Unless they do a man management course within these courses, do they, Ben? I don't know.
Well, I think you should get badges if you win things, or if it's success. If you win a game or a couple of games, get badges in. Didn't start going on these courses, and the people pay 80 quid a week, 200 quid a week, 400, and these blokes, some of them are about 96 years old, and yes, yeah, you can coach and you can manage. I think you get judged. Like, yes, get them because the kids and I think all the rest of the stuff's good. But these ones who come on and say you shouldn't be managing the Premiership if you haven't got your pro license, you shouldn't be in. I think it's the biggest load of cobblers I've ever met in my life. That's what I think.
Let's vote for Alan Dowson. I'm a Dowson fan.
I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to put this onto social media. So to be a successful manager, do you have to have a coaching qualification? That's going to be the question. We're going to put it out there, official BOTN. Go on, and you can vote, and we'll let you know how that vote's going between now and the end of the show. We're going to come back to that question. I'm going to ask you about what qualities you need to be a good manager.
You better ask him, not me. We'll put
that out there.
I was going to put that one.
Before we do that, let's take a quick break and speak to Callum Schaefer, who is on the line right now. Very good evening to you, Callum.
Hello.
The Bowers and Pitsea goalkeeper. First of all, we're going to get you on to play super sub, Callum, but let's ask about the season. It's all looking a bit nervy at the top when we were looking at the table for automatic promotion. How are you feeling, and what are your expectations between now and the end of April?
I mean, yeah, it's been nervy for quite some time now. We've always been in the frame for the top two. We've had maybe a little drop in form. We had a couple of games where we didn't pick up as many points as we would have wanted to. But I think after Saturday's performance and last night's performance, I think we're right back in it now.
Do you look at results every time you come off the pitch now, or half time, or is it a case of, look, we're not interested, we just play our game?
It'd be a lie to say that the first thing you do when you go in the dressing room after a game is straight onto the other results, because I'm sure every team in the frame for the playoffs and promotion will be doing the exactly same. In terms of half time, I think the manager wouldn't be too happy with that. We'd actually just be focused on getting our bit done then. But after the game, definitely you're always interested to see how your rivals are getting on.
I'm just going to throw that one out there now, Callum, to the guys we've got in the studio. Is that something at half-time where the manager can be updated if he wants to be about other results, but the players are not allowed, and if you see the players doing it, they'll be in trouble?
I think... I don't think... I mean, I can only talk from the manager that I have now, which is Rob Small, obviously. I don't think he would be worrying himself too much about how other teams are getting along. I think that would kind of, reflect in our season. It's just kind of been about getting our bit done. And then we can move on to worrying about the others after. But at half-time, I don't think it's the right time to be looking at other results. He would just be focused on getting our bit done.
Let's ask the guys, the managers in the studio. So is it one rule for the manager, but the players aren't allowed to look at other results?
No, not for me. Same rule for both. My players will tell you. I've caught a player on the phone at half-time looking at things, but I've no interest. It's what you do, isn't it? It's look, taking care of your own business.
I've done it before. Like, I must admit, I have done it before. I have looked, especially this time of season when you know where you've got to finish, and it could be a change I might got to make in the second half. And people say you've got to concentrate on your own game, which is 99% right, but just might be that little something different going on. It doesn't affect me at all about how we're going to go, but every now and again I might just think, what's that score? Especially in the promotion season when we played Bognor, when we were neck and neck all the way, and you wanted a half an hour for your own peace of mind how we're getting on, so I have done it before, to be honest.
Someone will always update you behind the dugout anyway.
Yeah, do I? Oh, no, definitely.
I think it's just dependent whether you're in the promotion or relegation race. You ain't going to look at it mid-table where it is. To me, if I was in either one of them, which I've been in both, I would have one of my assistants let me know discreetly what the score's going on, and that might dictate something that I might do in the second half, depending where we are at that time.
I'm sure plenty of it will go on between now and the end of April as we are at that crucial time in the season. Callum, for a goalkeeper, how difficult is it and how different is it when you're in this position going for promotion, your sort of own game, your focus and what you have to do as an individual?
I don't think it changes too much from what you normally do. I think if you stray too far from what you do week in, week out, you'll probably end up in a worse scenario than what you would be normally. I think it's just all about concentrating, not changing your warm-up, not changing how you feel before a game, just trying to manage your emotions, really, and then hopefully you can get the best performance you can give.
We're going to test you you're obviously coming up to a period where you're going to be going for automatic promotion, the playoffs, plenty of pressure. We're going to test you out tonight with Super Sub to see if we can get you in the zone for that pressure, because obviously this coveted trophy that's coming at the end of the season is up for grabs, and with plenty of people before you have tried, and I think the record stands at 32 seconds to do this. Right. So you've obviously seen Super Sub before. All you've got to do is give the wrong answer. It's pretty easy, isn't it? You've got to substitute the correct answer for anything that's wrong. You've got to do it as quick as you can. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. We'll get the drone on to just make it a little bit more interesting. And your time, Callum, starts now. The Old Firm Derby is competed between Celtic and which club?
Liverpool.
The Villains is the nickname of which championship club?
Bolton.
Name a Scottish side that don't play in Glasgow.
Hibernian.
I need another.
Hearts.
Incorrect. Do you want to try one more time?
Inverness.
Okay, let's move on. Fulham play at Craven
House.
When one player is replaced by another, it is known as a...
transfer.
VAR stands for what?
Video assisted roly-poly.
Name a London side who play in blue.
Liverpool.
The bowling ground was the former home of which Premier League team?
Man City.
Name any Premier League side that Jermaine Defoe has played for.
Arsenal.
What was Sky pundit Jamie Carragher recently in trouble for?
punching someone.
And stop the clock right there. Stop the clock right. So, how do you think you got on?
Oh, probably not 32 seconds, that's for sure.
The one that you fell up on was name a Scottish side that don't play in Glasgow. So, obviously, this is substituting the correct answer for
Obviously, yeah.
a wrong answer. So you could have said only 3 answers, which is Celtic, Rangers or Partick Thistle, because they do play in Glasgow, and you have to substitute that. It was a very
tough.
Yeah.
very
That's a
tough question.
one for him. Very tough.
Adam, was that your toughest question?
Oh.
I'm quite proud of that one, to be honest.
No, that's harsh on him. That's unfair, really. But they are.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. Appreciate that one, mate.
Yeah.
No worries.
We're just tying up your
Anytime.
scores now to see where you go. I like some of the other answers, and we had. You did well. I think you did well with all of the rest of them. You're very quick.
Yeah.
So let's see
Yeah,
your
not too
time,
bad.
and let's have a look at some of your answers. Of course, Jermaine Defoe would have probably loved to play for Arsenal. One player is placed by another. Could be a transfer, I guess, but it was a good substitute of the correct answer. Plenty of villains at Bolton, maybe.
Luke Pryor.
Apologies for that. Not sure what's happening with the phone. The Old Firm derbies competed by Celtic and Liverpool was another one that you got. And Jamie Carragher obviously in trouble for spitting. You said punching. Okay, you are in 18th place. 1 minute and 3 seconds. It's not. You're competing in a relegation battle now, but you haven't been relegated. In fact, you've relegated Chris Haig, who is now in. Is Chris Haig the top? Is Chris Haig at the
Played
top?
against him on Saturday.
Chris Haig is top.
No, he's not.
Is he not top? Has he been relegated?
No, he's one above.
Oh, okay, right. He's one above. That's my wrong there. Okay, so has he relegated anybody?
He's relegated Scott Robson.
Scott Robson is relegated. Apologies to Chris Haig. You're still in the Premier League. Scott Robson, you've been relegated. You're in 18th position. Callum, it was a good effort. It was a really difficult question that you got from Adam.
And I know Scott will be sitting at home. He'll be gutted with that as well. So I send out my apologies to him as well.
Listen, Callum, we wish you all the best for the rest of the season, and of course your playoff or automatic promotion, whatever happens. Wish you the best, and thanks very much for coming on the show.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Callum Schaefer, the goalkeeper for Bowers and Pitsea, who was man of the match for us on the Bostik League show at the weekend in one of the games on the Bostik League show. It's difficult, that, Mick.
No, look, I said I'd have a go at the end of the season, but that is difficult. But he got some particularly tough questions to answer there, I felt. Yeah, that's tough.
You've just come last with us in here, Mick, for some quite easier questions.
And you said there should be badges for winning. Do I get a badge for
That's it,
winning?
Adam, let us. How are we getting on with the debate that we've got on Twitter? This was causing much controversy throughout the last couple of days as the red card. People have mixed opinions.
I wouldn't say mixed. I'd say 99% of fans, crucially word fans there, massively can't understand the decision.
Is there no referees that have actually come on there and said anything to protect him?
There's a few people who say, look, he pulled on his arm, it's a straight red, but they are referees, yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a shock in it.
And we've also now got a debate, another poll that's on social media.
Yep, we have the debate about if to be a successful manager, do you have to have a coaching qualification? There are quite a few votes on this, but 73% of people who have voted on this so far say no. You don't need a coaching qualification to be a
Good.
manager.
That's it. I thought that would be different because there's a lot of young lads coming into management now. A heck of a lot of youngsters coming through into the coaching. It's the only way they sort of know to get into it, and I thought there'd be a lot more side in that way.
You've got to win matches to be a manager or a coach. You've got to win matches, not badges. Listen, I'm not knocking anybody does a badge. I've done it. I may have them, and we pay a lot of money to do them, and a lot of good school coaches around there and things like that, and lovely, and it's probably what the game needs. But don't say it's essential to do it. Don't tell me it's essential to have a badge to manage in a Premiership, our leagues or whatever. It can't be essential because there's a lot of great coaches and great managers who haven't got any badges whatsoever.
Well, will it come in? I'm wondering whether it will come in, whether you won't even get a job at non-league level unless you've got a badge, which is really worrying. That's worrying.
No, it is worrying.
Okay, let's move the debate on then and ask what makes a good football manager. So, badges aside, and we've said there's a difference between coaches and managers. What defines a good manager? If you don't need the badges, what do you need?
Where to start?
Go on, Andy. You start us off, mate. Go on.
No, I just started scribbling down. I mean, I could write forever. But come back to the point you just made. You've got to be able to manage people, and that is, upwards, down with your players, supporters. You've got to be organised. You've limited time in our level. You've got to be incredibly well organised, disciplined. I think you've got to be a delegator. You've got to surround yourself with good people as well. And on a personal level, individual level, you've got to have that motivation. You've got to be motivated yourself all the time. You're the guy who keeps everybody motivated and keeps everybody focused and targeted. There's a lot of different facets to it. I was just thinking, I've been doing this 20 years. I think those things still apply to me now than when I started. So I think that there must be truisms.
Well, my biggest one is everything you said is bang on, but I think you've got to have a job that will allow you to do it. Personally, I think you've got to have a job that will allow you all that time to actually do all the things that you've just said. And probably that might help you in your position, Alan, where you're are you full-time at Hampton?
Full-time,
so that helps. I would have thought that's where I'd say you'd have it over the likes of Andy and me if I ever got back in management, the fact that you've got the time to do that.
I don't know, because Andy will be the same as me. I don't feel as though I'm doing anything different now than I was when I was part-time, because it's a full-time job. You're still watching games when you can. You're still there on a Tuesday or Thursday, you're still watching. Like I went to Gloucester last night to watch a game. You do, it's like anything else. What will determine if you're a good manager or not at the end of the day? It's like any other job you do. It's how well you've done. It's as simple as that. So you've got to go and get 3 points. You've got whatever hook or by crook or whatever you can. And me, I try to give everybody belief, and if you give everybody belief in the club that you can achieve it, then you got half a chance because you can bring them with you. And you actually so we try to say that all our kitchen girls, all our people in the club are massively important to us, and we try to give them belief as well. So when you walk in a football club on a Saturday, you've got the guys on the turnstiles, you've got your players, obviously most importantly, you've got your staff, you've got everybody with a belief you can achieve something, and that's how we try to do at our club, giving everybody a little thing in it. And the bottom line is, as a manager, you'll not be judged. You'll only be judged on what you do, and you've got to win football matches whatever way you do it, and whatever way you do it's the right way. People say long ball, short ball, plastic pitches, grass, whatever it is. If you win a football match, that's the only thing you've got to do, and that's the way. You can do it in a nice way, what we talked about before, you can do it ugly way, but as a manager you've got to win a game of football. It's as simple as that.
Do football managers have to have been players? Or let me rephrase that. Do football managers have to have played at the level they're managing?
Definitely not in my case, but definitely not.
No,
I don't think so. No, I think it's proven at the top end of the game.
Jose Mourinho never played, did he?
Top end of the game, it's proven you don't have to be. No.
I know.
I think.
I don't think everybody do. No, as long as you win a game of football, it makes you a good manager. Surely that's how it is. That's how football is. If you win a game of football, that's what makes you at the end of the season. If you win something, if you do, or you build to win something, I think that's what builds you. I think these people have FA Cup runs and all of the rest of it, which is great. But I think at the end, when you look back, when you're 17, you look back and you're thinking, how was I as a manager? I'll just think, well, how many things did I win? And that's what I'll always look. And everybody's different. All managers are different. But I always look at it where if I finish the end of the season outside the playoffs and the club said to me, for example, I'm just using this as an example. I said, well, listen, you got a job for the next 5 years. Yeah, you'll be all right, and we'll look after you, and you do things in the community. I'll just walk out straight away. But our chairman wouldn't say that, of course, because he likes to win matches as well. And but you've got to win matches. It's I think pointless doing it if I couldn't win a game of football. And it might come a time when I can't, and then I'll jack it in. If I can't, if I felt I would go to any club and manage, and I couldn't win a game of football, I would just jack it in, because that's what we're there for.
When we talk about managers and we're looking at the skills that you've got to have, and we mentioned the man management and the calming influence and perhaps having the ability to manage players. Surely at the very top of the game, you look at the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson when he managed, and everybody said he had everything. He was one of the best man managers there were. Would he not have surrounded himself with the coaches that would have given him perhaps the things that he didn't have? So we talk about coaching managers and how important they are, but the role of a manager to do all the things that we've mentioned, if you've got all those skills and you can manage players and you can manage the club, then you just bring in the coaches that can do on the sessions and the defending sessions and to make you successful.
He changed over the years, didn't he, where he was coaching, and I guess there came a point where physically he wasn't doing it, but he changed his assistant manager or his coach every 4 or 5 years, different voice, and I'm guessing from what I've read that, you know, he became more of the motivator and the tactician, and, you know, the role evolves and changes, doesn't it, with guys like that. Right. But yeah, back to the point earlier, I've done less coaching this year than I've ever done. That's because Darren Pearce and Sean Rees around me are fantastic coaches, and, you know, I'm a great believer in delegating and giving that freedom, you know, to implement ultimately what I want, and I found it quite a change this year. But as Alan says, it hasn't affected my desire to win games, and it'll be, on a personal level, my most disappointing season this year. I think it'll be the lowest I've probably ever finished in the last 10 years of managing and coaching, and yeah, there's work to be done, but.
So when we talk about managers, probably the biggest challenge is managing the players. There's often the question that there's more passion in non-league from the players than there is in the Football League, especially when we look at the England level. Maybe not true now, but certainly in World Cups gone by, the fans questioning the passion and the desire of the players. The likes of Arsenal this season have come under lots of scrutiny for not caring and sort of walking around the pitch. Is it easier at non-league level for the players? They all motivated, they all want to play?
I wouldn't say so. I just think that, I think you said it before, Mick, if you get one bad egg in there, it's hard to go, and some footballers I've managed this season even, would have your girl fillings out your teeth if you give them a chance. They really would. It'll take a lot out of you. They really would. But when I've got a cracking group of players at the minute, if you know what I mean. So, but it's one of them where I'm not daft. You look at a player in the eye, and you're a lot more experienced than I am on it. But it's one of them. You look at a player in the eye, you can tell, can't you? Something you didn't tell. I'm thinking you're here for a pound note here, or you're here actually. So I think it's no different wherever you go. I think that's a nature of life at the minute, where you will get a greedy man who just wants money. And if we didn't get promoted this year, I'll be absolutely heartbroken, and most of the players would. But you're thinking, it might be one or two, it might not be so much, and I think that's in any club you go to.
Well, I'd say something within our own league. I'd say, I'm going to pick out Billericay Town for one. I'm sure Glenn Tamplin, I don't know this for certain, I know that he's probably watched some of their games this season and thought, these guys ain't doing it for me. They're not motivated out there for this game. I'm here all about winning. I've ploughed all my money and time into this club, and these boys ain't done it. And I think that's why they've had that little bit of a roller. Because don't get me wrong, every club they play against is going to be up for it anyway. So that makes it a bit more harder task. But you've got to think the quality of player they've got playing down there are above the level they're playing. You know, will they be motivated for every single game, particularly the amount of games they're turning over? That's a difficult task for Glenn Tamlin and Harry Wheeler to do. And I'm sure they've both stood there and talked at certain games and thought, these lads ain't doing it for us tonight, and we're paying them top dollar. And I can understand why Glenn Tamlin gets the hump on a few occasions. I expect Harry does as well.
When we're talking about players, attracting players to your club, we mentioned there about how players, it's all about money. Does that make it really difficult?
I don't think it's all about money. I'm just using the one or two cases where I've managed before. Most of the lads, like Arnie said before, you get an environment where it doesn't become like that, and we very much got out of Hampton, to be honest, and it's one of them. So but I have managed players where I look at them, I'm thinking, you want some money here, that's what you want. But I make group here, but attracting players, you got to put a point across that. You know, that you would like to work with them and you would like to work with you, and you lock them in a room, and if you can put that point across, then I'm sure you get on fine, you know.
And expectations, players have changed, players' expectations have changed. I think with younger players today coming out of the academy system, I think there's and I'm no disrespect intended, but there tends to be you know, they tend to have a view that there is an entitlement, and that they should be walking into our teams at this level and earning good money. But for that, you can counter that with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, as I think what Alan's just described, those who are looking in the eye, proper players. You know, and that's what I go after as well. Proper players who, you know, want to be at the club. They want to wear they're proud to be at the club, aren't they, and wear the badge and be in the environment they're in. And there's not many. And there's not many wrong ones, really. You know, but I think I do think that the Billericay thing creates an expectation level, and it can affect a market for players. Billericay's not far from Enfield, geographically, and it can affect a marketplace for players.
Is that starting? Is that ruined a little bit this season?
Well, no, it happens. In my experience, it happens every summer. There's always someone somewhere on your doorstep throwing a lot of money around. I could name 10 clubs over the last 10 years that have tried it, and it does, inflate expectation. And I think there's players, for example, who, like Alan says, he watches players at the level above. So do I. But they, sometimes wage demands. Players get used to a certain level, what they're earning. It's down to you in your own club, isn't it? It's down to your own structure and what you can afford and what you want to give them. But that's, Alan says, it's insignificant. It's about their motivation and their desire to want to. I've just signed a player from the level above. Not bothered about money, just about playing regularly, in the right environment with a chance of doing something,
Well, you not think you get a bigger buzz? I did anyway from bringing. There's not enough in my liking coming up. There's a lot coming down from academies and sort of like maybe the division above, wanting money, expectations and all that. But there's not enough to bring that up from step 5s and step 4s into and actually make it. I remember one, I think that he done quite well, and was it Jolly? I think was it Christian Jolly?
Christian was playing on Sunday morning.
So I mean it's there, and I got a bigger buzz in finding that player to come up and do the business at a higher level. And I don't think there's enough, whether it's not enough people to go out there and scout it, or not enough trust in someone for you to bring in, or not enough trust to actually put him in your team and give him a few games rather than one.
Trust's a big thing, isn't it? Massive. And I think out your own, you've got an academy, haven't you? And, out of your own academy, and we've just introduced one of our lads in there, but it is about trusting him. And I like those players. I think when you come up that hard way, I prefer them to the academy players who, not all of them, but they might have had it a little bit easy and in a professional environment and think they can stroll into your environment. I prefer the hungrier ones who've had it, done it the hard way.
You're spot on what you're saying, because we've had a lot of joy out the likes of Barnet, if you like, the youngsters coming in us, because we're nearly in the first team, the men, rather than going high up a league where they're nowhere near first team football, to get pampered, to do what they want. We've never made a tackle in their lives and academies and stuff. So I agree with what you're saying there. I really do.
Final point on this. You mentioned about Billericay this season. So difficult to compete with those clubs that have the money. One of the examples in the National League is AFC Fly. Tremendous growth thanks to their owners. Many expect them to be in the Football League in a few years. And just one stat that we've got on them here is their agent fees in 2017-18. They spent £5,260. Compare that to Aldershot in the same division, who spent £112. That to deal with that as a manager, is that something that is now in the game in every league?
Dealing with the Billericay.
The fact that other clubs have so much money.
Well, but it's a challenge. I view it as a challenge. I'm not looking at any envy at Billericay. Well, I'm envious of one or two of the players. I'd love to have them, but couldn't afford them. But I just think I see it as a challenge every week. It's we've had 2 great games against them, and.
Well, what's worrying as well, but you've just picked up on there, Ben, is agents coming down at the level that we're playing. I'll maybe get it a little bit of conference possibly, but they're now down in Bostic South.
Oh, they are,
And, I've even known some down in Step 5. It's actually unreal that you've got agents telling, look, don't get me wrong, there's good agents and bad agents. I'm sure there's some really good agents that are not looking for money. They're just to promote the lad. But I do think sometimes they just give them too much sort of like, They big them up too much, I think, and then when the reality hits,
come down now. When I was saying Jamal Lou, I told him to bring his mum, because your mum knows you better than anybody in the world. That's true. So and she's ended up being a supporter. Hampton ended up getting good money for him, and he's absolutely flying. You don't need agents, do you? In our level, God. Because that's where I'll struggle on the league up if I get some knacker who's never kicked the ball in his leg before knocking on my door saying, "My player wants this." I'm thinking, can you not just tell me by yourself and all that, and stuff like that. So I'll struggle with the agents. I really will. I'm that sort of lad.
I'm sure agents will look forward to that encounter with you if you get promoted.
I bet they will.
Brief one.
Plenty more to discuss on this topic, and I'm sure we'll go back to it in weeks to come. We're going to move on. We're talking and previewing all of the games across non-league at the weekend. Before we do that, we're going to play Who Am I? We've brought this back in the last few weeks. This is a game that I'm sure both of you will enjoy. All you need to do in this game is a bit like the tie-break that we had, is you've just got to say your name, and then we'll come to you to get your answer. If you get it wrong, you're out, and it goes to the other two until we go down. Now I'm going to give you, today is a manager special on Who Am I? Do you remember, we always say this, the Going for Gold programme?
Going for goal.
Going for Gold.
Gold.
Henry Kelly, the Irish guy.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
Very similar to that. But this is a manager special tonight, so I'm going to give you the birth, place and date of a manager, and then we're going to go through the clubs that he's managed. I'm not going to do their playing careers, and at any point, if you just say your name, come to you, and you can guess which manager it is, and I've got a great selection for you tonight. Play along, official BOTN. We're going to start with the first manager this evening. I was born on the 2nd of May in 1959 in Manchester. My first managerial job was in 1995. I stayed for a year and I managed Norwich City. In 1996, I moved to Blackpool, where I was there for 1 season. In 1997, I managed Stockport County for 2 years. In 1999, I went to Stoke City to manage them. In 2000, I found myself at West Bromwich Albion. I was there for 4 years. And in 2005, I made the move to Nottingham Forest. I was there for just 1 season. In 2007, I took over at Leicester City. In 2007, I also managed Bolton Wanderers for 2 seasons. And then I moved on to Sheffield Wednesday in 2011. Before, in 2017, going back to West Bromwich Albion for a caretaker role. But who am I? And I am a manager.
Adam will tell you, because we don't.
Well, I'm a Stoke City fan, so I'm going to be seriously embarrassed here.
Go and tell us.
I think a film was made about this person, but I can't. Not the actual person, but there's that Stoke City thing with the eccentric fan. I think it might have been the person who managed them.
Have I stumped everybody here?
You know what I'm talking about.
I do. I know Nello. The Nello.
Yeah. Any guesses in the studio who this is? I can tell you that the manager was Gary Megson.
Oh, I'm going to get slaughtered as a Stoke fan, and then doubly slaughtered by Darren Pearce, who knows Gary Megson really well.
Probably one of the most difficult ones on the list.
I've got it better be.
The next one, though. I was born on the 26th of January in 1973, and I was born in Northern Ireland. I started my managerial career at Chelsea with their youth team in 2004.
Andy Lee's. Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
Rodgers? I got that.
Adam came in just slightly before you.
That's Cobblers. I got that straight away. I knew it was. I was writing it down.
Did he say his name though? Has he broken the rules? Did he say his name?
Of course, Adam did say his name. Did Alan say his name as well? Adam did.
Say his name.
You got to say your name.
I
and
just
then
said Brendan. Oh, but I didn't say Dowes, did I?
No.
We'll just shout it out then.
Brendan Rodgers managed at Chelsea for their youth team for 2 years. He went on to manage Watford, Reading, Swansea City, Liverpool, and of course is now at Celtic. Next up for Who Am I Tonight? Managers Special. I was born on the 24th of April 1962 in Hammersmith in London. I started my managerial career as a caretaker manager in 1996 where I managed Nottingham Forest. I went on in 2005 to manage Manchester City.
Adam, is it Stuart Pearce?
Is correct, it is Stuart Pearce.
But you've probably got this before we get here.
This has been labelled at me a lot. Ben
He doesn't. He's very good at this. So Stuart Pearce went from Manchester City to England under-21s. He also managed the Great Britain Olympic team, England caretaker spell, Nottingham Forest, and assistant manager at West Ham
I think he's older than he looks, Alan. I think he's
I'll let me see what's on that computer.
Yeah,
That's the one. Good lad. Just embarrass these two managers. Fantastic.
This is my favourite one. So I was born on the 1st of December in 1948 and I was born in Sheffield. The teams that I have managed include Gainsborough Trinity, Burton Albion.
Neil Warnock.
Didn't say his name, did he? But
that's because last time you said don't.
Do you know what? I am going to give it. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you because it was a really good guess. Burton Albion, Scarborough, Notts County, Taunton United, Huddersfield Town, Plymouth Argyle, Oldham, Bury, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Queen's Park Rangers, Leeds United, Crystal Palace, Queen's Park Rangers, Rotherham United, and of course Cardiff City. I was hoping to get a bit further through the list. Do you know Neil Warnock well?
I don't.
You know his career well.
I know his career though, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more and I'm going to squeeze them in even though we're tight for time because I'm enjoying this. I was born on the 1st of November 1963, and I was born in Wrexham in Wales. My first managerial job was in 1999, where I managed Wales until 2004. In 2004, I took over at Blackburn Rovers for 4 years before I took over.
Andy Lee's.
Dose. Dose has got to.
Lee's was first.
Was it
You
Andy?
joking? What have you got against me?
Go on, I'll let you have it, Alan.
No, because I don't want to get it wrong. Go on, you. This is
Andy, what is it?
It's Mark Hughes.
It is Mark Hughes. Did you have that right?
Another Stoke.
Okay. Adam, where were you?
It was a Stoke-based question, that, so I was never going to get it over Andy Lee's.
So was the Gary Megson one, wasn't it? But
yeah,
maybe.
Okay, Stoke show.
Final Who Am I tonight. I was born on the 8th...
Mick, are you joining in? Are you just sitting there? Are you joining in? Okay. I just went out if you had a speak there, because I haven't heard anything from him.
I was born on the 18th of July in 1961 in Wimbledon. I started my managerial career in 1999 with Reading. I managed until 2003 when I took over at West Ham United. Should we just...
Mick Sullivan! Give it to me.
Come
on, Alan Pardew.
It's correct, Mick Sullivan!
Get in there!
Adam, did you want it?
Yeah, it's Alan Pardew.
Should we not let Adam play anymore? I think it might be.
Sorry, sorry, mate.
Just let him
Started his career at Whiteley as well.
Reading, West Ham United, Charlton, Southampton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, and probably one to forget for Alan Pardew, West Brom at the end. That is the end of Who Am I Tonight? Managers Special. Did anyone know who won? Who got the most?
It's a draw, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, draw between me and Andy, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh, no, you done well. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Oh, 2 each, was it? Yeah.
2 each, fair play.
Does Adam win every week? I bet he wins every week, doesn't he?
We've got...
I'm not so good at managers.
James Cummins is also on the show a lot of weeks, and the battle between those two is James's football knowledge is exceptional, so it's always a good battle. But Adam
I think
has
I
done
edge him.
particularly well.
I think I edge Cummins, I'm not going to lie.
Let us know how you got
Throw
on.
it out there, Cummins, if you're listening.
Official BOTN across social media. Let us know how you got on. We're going to preview the games at the weekend now. We're going to start in the Bostik Premier. Tomorrow night's games includes Burgess Hill against Leatherhead, Dulwich against Dorking Wanderers, Harrow Borough against Lowestoft, and Staines against Folkestone. It really is a title race and a relegation scrap. Mick, start with you. The games tomorrow night, such high importance. We mentioned Leatherhead, who are still chasing that playoff place. Of course, Dulwich need the points, Lowestoft need the points, and Staines against Folkestone's a massive game.
Well, Burgess Hill, Leatherhead, obviously, Leatherhead didn't field their full team against Dorking last night, so they're going there with strength because I think they feel they can get in the playoffs. Dulwich and Dorking Wanderers, Dorking are probably disappointed that they didn't do better last night, and that might go in Dulwich's favour. Lowestoft and Harrow Borough, I just think will just cancel itself out. And Staines Folkestone's the interesting one because Staines seem to have had a couple of hits which might just knock their momentum a little bit, and Folkestone on a bit of a high. So that's a difficult one to call. I don't know what Andy might say about that, or Dow's come to that.
But Staines game.
Big game, Staines against Folkestone.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Staines sort of must win, aren't they, with Hendon dropping points last night. Folkestone a little bit better off, aren't they, already in there, but both free scoring. There'll be a lot of goals in that, aren't there? The forward players are all firing, aren't they? And
plenty of games as well at the weekend in the Bostik Premier Division, and Harrow Borough take on Tooting and Mitcham. Harrow Borough on a good run of form with 3 wins in their last 4 at Earlsmead. Their last home performance saw them put 5 past Enfield Town. I'm sure Andy will thank me for mentioning that. And all the goals were scored inside the second half. As for Tooting, they're yet to secure 3 points since their 2-0 win over Wingate and Finchley in February, and have now gone 9 games without a win. Apologies, Frank. Burgess Hill's game on Thursday night will finally see the gap close on games in hand, and the result in their favour could see them level on points entering the weekend. And we've talked about Burgess Hill tomorrow, but for Tooting and Mitcham now, it's just vital time. And Harrow Borough, you'd think if you're in a relegation scrap, Harrow are obviously mid-table. It's a must-win.
Well, Frank would be targeting this a game that he's got to get something from. But, the facts are that Ian's not really pulled out all those games in hand, he hasn't accumulated a lot of points, and it's not going to be an easy one for him with a revitalised sort of Leatherhead coming down his patch. So I think that might help Frank's cause, the fact that Leatherhead have got everything to play for to go to Dulwich, to Burgess Hill. But too, in Harrowborough, I agree that being Harrow mid-table with Steve, he's done an exceptional season this year. I don't think that all managers want to pick up points, but I think this is a game that I think Frank needs to target 3.
Billericay take on Wingate in Finchley. Billericay Town remain the title favourites, as they've done for much of the season, despite their mixed bag of form of late, with 2 defeats and 3 draws in their last 10 games. Dulwich Hamlet and Folkestone Invicta are closing in as games in hands are running out for Billericay. As for Wingate, they've had a poor run on the road and have suffered 5 back-to-back defeats. Overall, they are foot of the league form table with only 1 win in 10, and that would tell you that this game surely is a foregone conclusion on Saturday between Billericay and Wingate.
Well, I said at the outset, I'm not so sure. I think, anyone who plays Billericay, it's a cup final. It'll be a great atmosphere, and you can't tell me that Wingate's players will go there and just accept it. I know they're in a poor run of form, as you say, but interesting the toll it takes on Billericay. Amount of games they're playing, same as you just said, Mick, for Burgess Hill as well. I know Ian was feeling that last night, like we were. Awful lot of football on heavy pitches, and it's very difficult to keep the energy, isn't it? The tempo in your game.
Leiston against Burgess Hill Town, another important game at both ends of the table. Results certainly favoured Leiston last night, and a weekend win against relegation battling Burgess Hill could see them leapfrog Margate into the last playoff position. Margate have played 1 game more and have a 3-point advantage over Leiston. With only 1 defeat in their past 10, on paper they should be able to get past Burgess Hill, who have been rooted to the foot of the table for the large portion of the season. A win against Lowestoft and a draw against Dulwich Hamlet, however, have put precious points on the board, and they now need to position above Tooting and Mitcham. We've just talked about Burgess Hill, Alan, and Leiston putting together this great run of form at the end. They've got some really good attacking players, but when you're down there and scrapping for points, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. We had to do it when we first got the job at Hampton. It's horrible. You've got to hold your bottle, don't you? You've got to hold your nerve, and that's not just players, manager and supporters as well. They've got to all stick together in the time. And Chapper's still manager down there.
He is, yeah. He's 3rd year on the trot, though. He's been down the bottom there.
Good lad, good kid.
Great guy.
So I wish him well, to be honest, Yeah. And but it's, anyway, if you're at the top or at the bottom, but it's all about everybody, not just the players. I really need help of people around them, like the manager, obviously, and the committees and the supporters. So I just hope that everybody sticks together and hopefully you make a result.
Couple of big games in the Bostik South and the Bostik North. We're starting the South as Ramsgate take on Corinthian Casuals without a win in their last 3. And with Danny Bracken out for the season, Corinthian Casuals will be looking for a change in fortune away at Ramsgate. Despite trailing after only 20 minutes, Ramsgate enjoyed a 4-1 win over Guernsey at the weekend. 4-1 was also the scoreline for their previous victory too, where they beat Horsham. Therefore, it comes to no surprise that Alfie Paxman is contending for the league Golden Boot, currently competing with Jack Barham, Josh Kelly, Jake Embury and Billy Medlock. Big game for Corinthian Casuals, and a tough one as well, Mick.
Look, when I was managing, it was never easy to go down Ramsgate. It's the most windiest place in the world to go down there. The pitch is probably not the best either, and that ain't going to be easy for Corinthian Casuals. They've had that big knock in losing their goalkeeper, which is... It will knock them. Gareth is a good replacement, no doubt about it. But it does not. They've had a couple of iffy results lately, and going to Ramsgate are going to want to turn them over. And I think that could be a tricky one for Corinthian Casuals. I think
they're doing believable, don't they? Corinthian Casuals been up there.
Fantastic.
The manager's done a great job down there.
Absolutely brilliant. James has done.
Aye, fantastic.
One game in the Bostik North that we're previewing is Canvey Island against Hertford Town. Canvey Island are currently 4th in the division. However, with 4 defeats in their last 6 games, they're nervously positioned as Heybridge Swifts continue to climb the table. Malden and Tiptree also adding to their worries with precious points recently. 2 wins, 2 draws in their recent 4. As for Hertford, they have succumbed to back-to-back league defeats in their last 2 encounters and currently have the worst goal difference in the top half of the division, despite positioning 12th. Only 6 teams have a poorer goal difference than the Hall. As we said, Mick, the Bostik North is as close as the South really at the top, apart from Hornchurch, who are surely odds on for promotion now, but Canvey Island really do have to watch themselves with the likes of Malden and Tiptree and Heybridge.
Well, they're in the same position as Corinthian Casuals and Morton Casuals are. They could see that 7th Malden and Tiptree team are half decent. Kevin Orlett's got a decent side down there. Chris Haig, decent goalkeeper, and they got forwards as well. And you know they would be nervous. They can't slip up because that seventh team. It's good that they've got that seventh team for both divisions this year that are just putting that pressure on that six. That six haven't got away, and that positions 3, 4, 5. They're nervous because that seventh position is really tricky. But I'd like to think Canby should have the home sign over Hertford. I do think that they'll take the points in that one.
Big result in the Bostik North. It's not finished yet, but Romford are 1-0 up against Norwich United. That is a big battle to see who goes down in the division. They both be level on 34 points if the game stays that way. Final part of the show, 4 more fixtures for you across non-league. And first of all, it's Sutton United against Hartlepool United, a fixture to keep a keen eye on this Saturday. Between these two sides going head-to-head, Sutton United are still in with a chance of retaining a playoff spot. Third place with 72 points and 41 games played. They face a Hartlepool United side who have a much more stable future in the form of Raj Singh's recent takeover of the club. The visitors currently sit 17th place on 48 points, having played 42 games. The threat of relegation still not entirely staved off as they look below them to the likes of Solihull Moors, Maidstone United, Woking and Barrow in the fight for survival in the league. Big game for Sutton. They've gone off the ball slightly.
They've still got a good side down there. They've still got a good side. They've got a management team who's been there and seen it and done it. They've got players who have been there, seen it and done it. So I think it's like our situation really. I think once you get cracking again, I think and come through this. But Hartlepool probably are safe now, to be honest. Cards on the table are probably all safe now. We'll certainly go without any fear factor whatsoever.
Another big game at the weekend is Bath City against Hemel Hempstead Town, with most eyes being cast to the teams towards the very top to the Vanarama South. This tie takes on a must-win mentality for both sides. 10th place Bath City, 54 points with 38 games played, could potentially have a last-gasp chance to grab a final playoff place. 7 points ahead of them with a vital win this weekend. That final place is currently taken by the visitors, Hemel Hempstead Town, who reside in 7th place, 61 points with 38 games played. This is a really last-chance saloon for Bath City, and Hemel Hempstead will want to make sure they keep hold of that 7th place.
Well, I hope it's the worst game in the world. It's 0-0. I really do. I hope it's absolutely crap and it ends up 0-0. That's what I would like, to be honest.
Any particular reason?
Because it keeps them both out of the playoffs, because that's where we've got to try to get in. and Dean Brennan's a good mate of mine, and all of us have got a good side down there. And Bath beat us when we're on that run. 2 good sides, 2 good footballing sides, really, really good. But if you wanted to know what to score, I hope it's 0-0. I hope it's a drop game. That's what I would like to think. But
2 final fixtures to cast your eye on this weekend. We always like to give you a couple of random games to look at. Chorley versus Blyth Spartans, 2 teams within touching distance of the playoffs. It was a disappointing outcome for Blyth Spartans, who we previewed in last week's show, losing 2-1 to Kidderminster Harriers. Both of these teams sit side by side in the Vanarama North. Chorley 8th place with 55 points. Blyth Spartans are 9th with 52. Both teams having played 36 games each. Either side will be looking to that last playoff place, currently being held by York City in 7th, who have played 2 games more than both teams in the fixture this weekend. Despite being together in the table, the form shows a very different story altogether. Chorley currently sits 7th in the form table with 3 wins, 2 draws and a defeat to take 11 points from a possible 18. As for Blyth Spartans, 1 win and 5 defeats with 3 points from a possible 18 in their 6 games make uncomfortable reading as they sit bottom of the form table. Another big game, Adam, these 2 teams, geography-wise, Chorley?
Chorley is kind of up Bolton way, and Blythe is obviously in Dowson's area, northeast.
I love Blythe Spartans, remember games against Wrexham and all that, and that's in James's Park.
Huge non-league name.
I love Blythe Spartans, so I hope Blythe win that, to be honest. I love
Blythe. Sounds like they're having a torrid time, but I'm sure they'll be making a comeback.
Stoke in the FA Cup.
Alan's
shoulder.
I'm sure, yeah, we skip on Newcastle.
I was there that night,
yeah.
Altrincham also played Barwell. The finish line is well within sight for the current league leaders as promotion looks well within their reach as the season draws to a close in the Evo Stick Premier League. Altrincham currently have 81 points with 40 games played as they possess an 8-point gap at the top between their nearest rivals Warrington Town, who have 73 points. The visitors look set to be playing their trade in the Evo Stick Premier come next season as they sit in a respectable 8th place with 59 points. And in terms of the form going into this game, the hosts have accrued 11 points from a possible 18 in their last 6 games, being 5th in the form table, 3 wins, 2 draws and a defeat. As for the visitors, they sit 14th in the form guide with 9 points taken from a possible 18, 3 wins and 3 defeats. With 5 games left to go, a win for Altrincham come Saturday against Barwell could see their crowning as champions move ever closer. One last game to talk about before we go is, of course, the Bostik League show at the weekend. Staines against Margate. We'll be back at Staines, Mick. Last time we were there, a thoroughly entertaining game against Leiston, and this is most definitely a 6-pointer.
Yeah, definitely. Both of them have sort of hit a sort of a little dip in form, and you know, really they're vying for either spot, I think. And I mean, I keep bringing Leatherhead into it because they're the one team that could pick both of them. Margate have drawn too many. I'm sure Steve Watts would agree that they've just drawn too many games, and they've just drifted down. And I think those 2 big hits which Staines have lost against Billericay, wasn't it, and was it Leatherhead on Saturday, they're 2 big hits, and that knocks confidence a little bit. And they're probably just shading it, Staines, the fact that they got the home advantage over Margate.
We look forward to that. The Bostik League show Sunday morning 10 o'clock. Just search Back of the Net on YouTube. Staines against Margate, as well as, of course, goals from across the Bostik Premier Division. 2 results that are not quite finished to bring you before the end of the show. The Velocity Trophy final tonight is currently Billericay 1, Met Police 3. It's not quite finished. And Lewis are beating Horsham 3-1, and it will mean that Lewis are promoted to the Premier Division. So we can't quite say congratulations to Lewis. That game is still go on. We can say a big thank you, of course, to Mick Sullivan, Andy Leese and Alan Dowson for joining us tonight. Go on Twitter and vote on our poll. Many things happening, including that red card. And should managers all have coaching badges, we'll continue the debate, I'm sure, in weeks to come. Big thank you for listening, and we'll be back at the same time next week from 7 o'clock.